Hi everybody, today we're going to do a monster drawing in the style of Maurice Sendak. So the first thing we need to do is use a pencil and put our name on the back of our paper and our class code, which is 4 dash something. Flip it over, and everything else I'm going to use a Sharpie for. So I'm going to be really brave, just use a permanent marker. And we're going to draw a monster, so you can brainstorm and think about what your monster might look like. It might have wings or a tail or claws. So I'm going to start out real simple, just with an oval for the body. And then I could add a circle for the head. I might put wings on mine actually, but I might do that second because I'm going to use some overlapping. So first I'll do the arms. I might do them up like this. So two lines that curve at the top, and then a zigzag for claws. And then I can start thinking about what the face looks like. I'm going to zoom in here. So maybe it has like a snout or something. Here's an oval with 2 circles in it for the nose. Eyes are circles. He could be looking to the side like this. If you put eyebrows pointing down and in, it looks kind of mean. Could give him a huge smile. Zigzag for teeth. I might give him like football shapes for ears. And then you could have like other triangle shapes coming out for horns. You could put a pattern in it. The legs I'm going to kind of do like I did the arms. I'm going to kind of make 2 lines that bend, kind of like that, for where his knees would be. So it's up to you how you do your monster, and then add whatever you want to it. So maybe he's got wings sticking out the back. This is what I meant with the overlapping. See how it looks like it's behind the arm? And you can make them symmetrical or asymmetrical, so the same on both sides or different. It's up to you. Maybe I'll just add one more little detail. There's a tail coming out the back. And if you add curved lines in it, it looks like it's round. It's a little art trick. Makes it look more 3D. And now, ooh, you know what? I'll add like one of these things. I don't know, it's like his belly. Like on a turtle. So if you think about different animals, you can just put animals together. And then I also want to kind of draw where the monster lives. So I'm going to do a landscape in the back. Maybe there's a cave right here. Maybe there's some mountains. There's a little plant in the foreground. So once you've filled up your drawing and you've got a monster and a place where he lives, you can start shading in. But we're going to shade a little bit differently today. We're going to use hatching and cross hatching. So I have to think where the light's going to come from. And usually I like to think about left or right. If the light's coming from the right, then all the shadows will be on the left. And if the light's on the left, the shadows will be on the right of everything. So every single part of my monster and this world that I made is going to have shadows in it, so light and dark. So I actually drew the moon here, so I'm going to say that's where the light's coming from. And the moon's up on the right, so all the shadows will be on the left. But look at how I'm shading. I'm doing lots of lines that are close together. They're all parallel. So that's called hatching. So I just made his body look like it's dark on one side and light on the other. And if you do cross-hatching, it's a way to make it even darker. So these lines are going the opposite way, but I'm just doing it right on the edge where it'd be extra dark. So every single part of my drawing is going to have light and dark on it. But I'm going to use hatching and cross-hatching for it, and it just means lots of little lines close together. And I'm doing the whole thing with the Sharpie. So I'm going to keep going until my whole drawing's shaded in this way. Alright, so I shaded everything that was solid, but there's a couple more things I can do. I can actually make a cast shadow. So all these shadows I did were on the forms, like the monster is a form, the cave is a form, because they're 3D things. So the shadows that are on those are called form shadows, but I could also do the shadow on the ground, and that's the cast shadow. It's like the shadow that the monster would see if he looked down and he'd see his shape on the ground. And I could even do the cast shadow for under his tail. It might look like that, kind of. And even like the plants would have it a little bit. The cave might have a cast shadow, but if the light's coming this way, maybe the cast shadow goes like this. And there's another thing I can do where the moon is, just to make it look a little bit lighter. I can do another little cool trick, which is just draw some lines behind the moon like this, and this will help make it look like it's lit up. So once you have that, you can think about how you want to color it, because then we're going to get some watercolor out and color this picture. Alright, so I've got watercolor and water, and I've got two different size brushes, a big one and a smaller one. And we're going to paint this in a certain way. The first thing we're going to do is be really brave and just cover the whole thing with water. And if we use permanent marker, it shouldn't hurt it at all. So I'm going to, with my big brush, I'm just going to get some clean water and just cover my whole paper. So there we go. And if you get too much water and you've got puddles and they're not going away, you can just real quick dab it with a tissue. I like to have a crumpled up tissue when I'm painting with watercolor. So there we go. So now that I've got that, I can think about what colors I want everything to be. So with my smaller brush, I can start thinking about, maybe I want like a dark purplish blue for the sky because it's at night. So I'll just add black and blue and purple, mix it up, using a lot of water. And now I'm just going to start painting my sky. But because I wet the paper first, the color's going to kind of fade a little bit. And this is called wet in wet, because I'm painting with wet paint on wet paper. So it's going to give it a really cool look. And this way too, if you paint over your Sharpie, you'll still be able to see it. So it's almost like we're staining our drawing or colorizing it. So there we go. I'm just going to go through and paint my sky. Paint right over my Sharpie. Alright, so I'm doing the big areas first, like the sky and the ground. And I kind of want a bluish green for my ground. So I'm just adding blue to green, and then I'll paint it. And if you have cast shadows on the ground, you're just going to paint right over them. You'll still be able to see the Sharpie. But we're just making the ground whatever color we want. It doesn't have to be green. Alright, if you want to make a color like gray, you just take black and mix it with white. So I'm just going to take some black, add it to my white. Now I've got gray. And I'm dabbing it with my tissue, and that'll make it lighter. And actually I could just make it light on top and dark on the bottom, and that would help with the 3D effect with the shading. I'm gonna do like I'll do a bluish green for the mountains way off in the back. You know what, I have a lot of cool colors. Maybe I'll switch to warm colors. Maybe I'll do like a reddish orange, because this is an imaginary world, so it doesn't have to be the right colors. So I'm just working quick because I want my paper to still be wet when I paint over this, because that'll help see the Sharpie. But if it's a little too thick, just take your paper towel or your tissue, move it to a clean spot and dab it, and then it picks up some of the color, and then you can see through it again. Alright, I want my monster to be yellow. I'm actually going to add a little tiny bit of black to it, make it kind of like a dull greenish color. But he's a monster, so that makes sense. But you could make it bright colors too if you want. I'm going to make his wings the same colors. There we go. So we just want to start out by thinking about what our monster looks like. Draw them with a Sharpie. Add shading with hatching and cross hatching. And then go through and paint everything, but we want to wet the paper first because we're using the wet and wet method. And don't forget, when you're done painting, you can always dab it with a tissue. Makes it look cooler, helps it dry faster, and it brings out your drawing again when you do that. So I can put this on the drying rack and let it dry. There we go. Work hard, have fun.